Good evening. My name is Robbie Johnson, and before we get into the presentation this evening, I want you to sit back and visualize something with me real quick. Imagine you're traveling to go see family for the holidays. You're anxious to arrive at your destination, and then out of nowhere, you run into traffic and you come to a complete stop. For the rest of your drive, you're stuck in stop and go traffic for hours on end. You see, this is a situation I'm sure we have all been in before. The time and money that is being wasted being stuck in traffic is something that every American has to deal with, let alone the impact that those packed highways have on the environment. But what I wanted to discuss with you today is trying our best to answer that question. How do we fix America's traffic problem? Well, we're going to take a look at some solutions we've tried that haven't had many results, and also look at other solutions that are being implemented around the country and what it would look like to make those changes all across our nation today. If I asked you what you thought might be the answer to this problem, a thought that might pop to your mind is just to build more roads. And you certainly wouldn't be alone in that presumption. But unfortunately, what sometimes feels like the easiest solution isn't necessarily the best solution. Research done for California State University of Northridge found that adding 1% more of road capacity will have the exact amount of increase when it comes to traffic congestion. If we build more, it encourages people to use more. A new approach or a new push for the same approach to solving traffic comes from the entrepreneur everyone knows, Elon Musk, through his new startup, The Boring Company. The concept of this business is to build underground highway systems underneath major cities such as New York, Los Angeles, all in hopes to alleviate traffic above ground. But even with this forward-thinking approach, the same principle applies. In a demonstration only had earlier this year in Las Vegas, one of Musk's tunnels experienced a traffic bottleneck. They credited the issue to too many people wanting to test out this futuristic highway. Again, we built more and people used more. So, if building roads won't fix the US's traffic problem, what will? Well, if you find yourself in a big urban city, the solution may be right around the block from you. Public transportation is a common part of life in every major city, but to the rest of the US, active bus routes or subway systems are an anomaly. That lack of access has led to many people becoming more dependent on their motor vehicle, only continuing to fuel the traffic problem that we find ourselves in today. In a study done by the National Resource Defense Council, they found that 55% of people would prefer to drive less, and more so, 58% of people would prefer to use public transport if they were given more access and availability. So, not only is it more desired by people, but it's also better for the environment. Public transport systems emit significantly less carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, according to the APTA. It's a dream situation, better for the environment, more desired by the people. But, these initiatives to improve public transport haven't happened or been met without their criticisms. Some people note how rail systems specifically can be more costly than road expansions. The thing is, though, if we choose to improve other methods like bus transport alongside more expensive rail systems, then it would inevitably alleviate road usage if citizens were given that access. You don't have to invest all in one and put your eggs in one basket. You can disperse it across the different options that we're given when we invest in public transport. Some transport systems can be more expensive for the government, but for individuals, these public transport options are more cost effective, like bus tickets. And, this will inevitably benefit lower class citizens. That point of access, I believe, is huge in the argument for public transit being revamped in our country. While many studies have focused on comparing railways to any highway system, more modern data and research is suggesting a more nuanced approach to how we view these research. Berkeley scholar Michael Anderson looked into a transit strike that occurred in Los Angeles in the 2000s, and found that traffic did increase near the areas where public transit was already available. When given the option and access, the population leaned into the use of more affordable and eco-friendly alternatives to travel. And when that option was taken away, they're forced back into a means of transport that is already more costly for them. As the US continues to revitalize how its citizens travel to work, visit family, or go back home after a long day, or anywhere in between that, it is also forced with the option of embracing a long-term investment. While it may be more costly immediately in some instances to put money back into public transport systems, the long-term benefits for how people travel can't be denied. And if we choose to continue what we've already been doing over the past couple of decades, well, just go back to that picture of you being stuck in highway traffic. Thank you. Also, I am giving this presentation in front of my fiance, so